A friend I hadn't heard from in 3 years, Daisy, contacted me. I gave birth to a healthy girl. Give me a $3,000 birth celebration gift. We're best friends, so it's only natural, right? I was shocked by her words. What? You got married? Yes, I did. Responding to my surprised question, Daisy replied cheerfully. Just as I was about to congratulate her, Daisy said, "It must be because you lacked appeal that you guys couldn't have kids." I was frozen by Daisy's words. She had married my ex-husband, Mike, and they had a child together. Mary? You're coming, right? Daisy's triumphant voice reached me as I involuntarily fell silent over the phone. How did it come to this, and you never contacted me before? I had many things I wanted to say, but expressing them would only play into Daisy's hands. I took a deep breath to avoid being provoked and opened my mouth. Sure. I'll come with my lawyer husband. And so, I headed to her house with my husband, Tom. No one could have imagined that Daisy's reaching out would end up derailing her and Mike's lives. My name is Mary. I was born and raised in a rural area of Boston. I spent my life there until high school and then moved to LA for work. Living alone in an unfamiliar place from a young age. I remember feeling very lonely in LA without any friends. So, after work, it became my routine to call friends and family back home. Even after several years, I never got used to the environment and had no acquaintances outside of work. Then, a turning point came my way. I met a man who was a friend of my colleague's husband when I visited their home. His name was Mike. Born and raised in LA, he was a doctor at a university hospital. Mike was the same age as me. To me, a country-raised individual, Mike, who grew up in LA, seemed very sophisticated and attractive. Mike also took a liking to me, and soon after we met, we began dating and got married in the year we both turned 30. The first person I reported my marriage to was my friend Daisy. I met Daisy in elementary school. And we went to the same school through middle and high school, essentially best friends. Daisy was the only daughter of a local politician, a well-bred young lady. Inherited from her father, she had a leadership quality and decisiveness. However, this also meant she had always thought of herself as the best, for better or worse. I, on the other hand, was indecisive and lacked confidence. So, the confident Daisy, who always took the lead, was someone I admired. Even after moving and not being able to see each other often, my feelings of cherishing her as an important friend did not change after I went to LA. That's why I called her first to report. Daisy. You know, I'm getting married. What? No way. That guy. Mike, right? I had, of course, talked to Daisy about Mike. Although they had never met, she knew his name and profession. Yes, that's right. Marrying a doctor, huh? You're winning. Like a Cinderella story. Amazing. Hearing my news, Daisy seemed excited. I couldn't help but laugh. Amazing, she said, making me misunderstand that she was happy for my marriage. It's not like that. Besides, doctors don't earn much yet, and it seems like he doesn't have much savings either. So, it's not a Cinderella story, but that's okay. I'm not marrying for money. So, I casually denied Daisy's words. However, it seemed my way of saying it rubbed Daisy the wrong way. She paused for a moment and said in a cold voice. Huh? What's that? Are you bragging? Pretending to be humble? Our love is pure, money doesn't matter? What? After all, despite saying you wanted to come back here, you never did. And to top it off, you marry someone from there. You looked down on us locals, didn't you? Her tone was neither warm nor joking. It was more like she was looking down on me, which made me hastily respond. That's not what I meant at all. I did want to come back, and I never imagined I'd end up getting married here. But here you are, having done just that. Are you getting carried away thinking you're now a city person? Being happy about marrying up would leave a much better impression. That's not it. I didn't know what to do, as Daisy took my mere announcement of marriage the wrong way. I'm sure you'll have a fancy wedding, right? Looking forward to the invitation. Daisy left me speechless with those words and then hung up the phone. Did I say something so terrible? I immediately tried to call back, but she didn't answer. I sent an email, but there was no reply. I had planned to announce my marriage to other friends after contacting Daisy, but I had completely lost the mood for it. Still, I couldn't just invite Daisy to the wedding. Our parents knew each other from way back. Besides, I was inviting other friends from my hometown, so I couldn't exclude Daisy, my best friend. After that call, I tried contacting Daisy several times, but she never responded. The wedding invitation I sent came back with just a check mark for attendance, no message, just a simple response. Disgusted by Daisy's immaturity, I decided to apologize at the wedding for my poor communication and naturally take some distance afterward to avoid such issues. On the wedding day, Daisy arrived in flashy attire, acting as if that phone call had never happened, cheerfully greeting me with friends. Hey. Mike is handsome. I imagined some nerdy loser since he's a doctor. I was stunned by Daisy's opening remark. Mike, standing by my side, burst into laughter upon hearing it. You're Daisy, right? Thanks. Please take care of Mary. Feel free to visit us in LA anytime. Mike's response surprised me again, knowing the tension between Daisy and me and my intention to distance myself, yet he said, please take care, and come visit. Really? Thank you. I was looking forward to meeting Mike, and likewise, please take care of me. Daisy then casually touched Mike, shifting from calling him Mr. Mike to using his first name without any honorifics. Watching this, I wasn't pleased, but saying anything would ruin the wedding. I forced a smile and got through the moment. Daisy's dominance continued. She went from one doctor to another, introducing herself as Mike's colleague. Watching this from the head table, I was anxious. It seemed like she came fishing for men. Among the guests were Mike's seniors and bosses. It was frankly embarrassing that my friend was acting inappropriately toward my husband's colleagues. Perhaps because of this, I was utterly exhausted by the end of the wedding. Yet, thinking I wouldn't see Daisy for a while brought some peace. However, I underestimated the situation. Mary. I came to visit. Daisy started visiting our house once a month, saying that, and always staying for 2 nights. Mike is so funny. I have fun too when Daisy-chan comes over. And so begins their drinking sessions. I'm not good with alcohol. Inevitably, I end up having to clean up the living room after their drinking spree. Naturally, Daisy doesn't bring any snacks or drinks. Preparing those is also my job. After about a year of this, I told Mike. I'm thinking of telling Daisy not to come over anymore. It's tough on you always having to entertain her, and honestly, preparing the futon and shopping is hard for me too. Don't say that to a friend who comes from our hometown to see you. I'm fine with it, so let her keep coming. Did Mike forget that I wanted to distance myself from Daisy? It's like I'm the bad guy. Despite discussing my issues with Daisy and Mike several times, Mike doesn't take my concerns seriously. I start feeling ill just days before Daisy's monthly visits, growing to dislike her more and more, and even starting to dislike myself. Despite occasional arguments about Daisy, Mike and I were somewhat happy. One day, when Mike was out, Daisy and I ended up drinking together at home. Non-alcoholic again? You're not pregnant, are you? Just drink.
Yeah.
But I'm not good at it.
Hmm.
So, aren't you going to get pregnant anytime soon? Daisy abruptly asked me this very sensitive question, and I could only offer a wry smile.
Yeah.
We do want to. Maybe you lack feminine charm? Better hurry up before you're too old for a safe pregnancy. Laughing, Daisy made this rude comment. Even if she was drunk, it was too much. I snapped back. What's that supposed to mean? You're the same age as me. And you're not even married yet. Shouldn't you be focusing on your own life? Huh? What's with that attitude? You think you're better than me just because I'm from the countryside? I didn't say that. With no one to stop us, our argument escalated. Daisy banged the table as if about to lunge at me. Don't get cocky just because your husband is a doctor. My dad is a politician, a lawyer, and a person with a much higher income. And you used to mock Mike's salary too. That's not. Just then, Mike came home. Frowning suspiciously, he glared at me. Is what Daisy Chan said true? You've been mocking me for my low salary. Yes. She said they couldn't save it because of it. Mike believed Daisy's words and both stared at me accusingly. That's a misunderstanding. I did say we chose not to focus on salary when Daisy accused me of being after money, but I never complained like that. Even so, wouldn't that hurt Mike's pride? Can't you see that? Daisy's obvious attempt to side with Mike and win him over was clear. I ignored her. Clearing up Mike's misunderstanding and repairing our relationship was more important. Mike was silent for a moment, then sighed. But honestly, our relationship hasn't been great. As Daisy Chan said, my pride is hurt. Let's discuss our relationship again. That's not. Next to a smirking Daisy, I sincerely apologized to Mike. I told him that my love for him wasn't because he was a doctor, and that my feelings for him were still genuine. However, despite my words, Mike only said he was disillusioned by me. Eventually, we ended up getting divorced. I tried to avoid the divorce, but Mike's feelings just wouldn't change. So, I tearfully accepted the divorce for his sake and to allow him to start a new life. 3 years passed since the divorce was finalized. I spent those years without contacting Mike or Daisy. Some friends asked why I wasn't in touch with not just Mike but Daisy as well, especially since she sided with Mike during our divorce crisis instead of supporting me. One day, I received a call from Daisy, whose number I had kept on my phone. Hesitantly, I answered the call. Hey, there? How've you been? I was momentarily taken aback by Daisy's unchanged demeanor after 3 years. I gave birth to a healthy girl. I'm expecting a $3,000 celebration gift. We're best friends, so it's only natural, right? I was astonished by her words. What? You got married? Yes, I did. Daisy replied cheerfully to my surprised question. Just as I was about to congratulate her, she said, "It must be because you lacked appeal that you guys couldn't have kids." I was stunned by Daisy's words. What? Mike and I are both happy to see you after so long. With those words, I understood. Daisy had married Mike and they had a child together. Mary? You're coming, right? Daisy's triumphant voice reached me as I involuntarily fell silent over the phone. How did it come to this, and you never contacted me before? I had many things I wanted to say, but expressing them would only play into Daisy's hands. I took a deep breath to avoid being provoked and opened my mouth. Sure. I'll come with my lawyer husband. Huh? Since you married Mike, that means you're living here? Yes. We're living in El Dada. I see. Then give me your address. I'll come to visit. Daisy seemed not to grasp the unexpected fact, but I continued the conversation one-sidedly. It would be troublesome to be bombarded with questions, so after getting the address, I quietly ended the call. A month passed, and the weekend arrived. I visited the address Daisy gave me. I didn't ask when the baby was born, but if she contacted me right after the birth, the baby would still be a newborn. Considering it would be hard on them, I decided to wait a month before visiting. On the way there, I spoke to my husband Tom, who was driving. Sorry for the trouble, especially on your day off. No, don't worry about it. I had remarried about a year ago. We met through a popular matchmaking app. Tom might not be a typical handsome guy, but he's a very kind person. We hit it off immediately after the meeting. After we started dating, I learned about his job. I was surprised. He is a lawyer. I wanted someone to see me for who I am, not for being a lawyer. He said, which is why Tom left the job and salary fields blank on his profile. I did wonder why it was blank, but since some profiles have missing information, I didn't think much of it. Right. Should I set up the navigation? Do you know the address? When we stopped at a red light, Tom, sitting in the driver's seat, said that. I took out a note. Then, looking at the address again, I caught my breath. No need for navigation. I'll guide us there. Really? Okay. The car started moving again slowly. I stared at the address once more. The address written there was undoubtedly the address of the condo I used to live in with Mike. I should have remembered it after hearing it just once. At that time, my mind was too full to notice, but thinking about going back to that house made me a bit nervous. Upon arriving at Daisy's place, Tom and I entered together. Nice to meet you. I'm Daisy, Mary's best friend. At the entrance, Daisy greeted Tom with a smile. But, seriously, I'm shocked you got remarried and didn't tell me. I thought it'd be bad if I was the only one happy, so I was being considerate towards you. Daisy laughed. Considerate? Did she feel even a bit sorry for marrying Mike? If that were the case, I would have rather she properly informed me. I asked Daisy with a wry smile. Anyway, when did you get married, Daisy? I had no idea you two were together like that. About a year and a half ago? We met by chance. Daisy said without meeting my eyes. Stepping into my former home after a long time felt strange. It seemed Mike wasn't there, which I was honestly relieved about. Daisy, while feeding the baby milk, asked Tom things like, "What do you find attractive about me?" I thought it was none of her business, but since Tom was politely answering Daisy's questions, I didn't join their conversation and glanced at the shelf. There were many photos of Daisy and Mike. Among them were photos I took when Daisy used to visit monthly. There were also pictures of their outings and Daisy with a large belly. Looking at those, a question crossed my mind. For a couple who supposedly reunited by chance a year and a half ago, there seemed to be no gap in the photos. Considering the seasonal outfits and hair color changes, there appeared to be no 1.5-year gap from the photos I took over 3 years ago. Could it be that they were dating even while I was married to Mike? As I pondered, memories of their closeness and atmosphere came flooding back. Once I started thinking about it, it was hard to see it any other way. I slowly turned around. The way Daisy looked at Tom was all too familiar, and anger surged within me. It was like the gaze of an animal that had found its prey. Fearing that Tom might be stolen from me too, I addressed Daisy sharply. Daisy. You didn't happen to steal Mike from me, did you? Daisy dodged my gaze. Then, she burst into laughter. You've been looking at those photos and thinking about that? Stop laughing and answer me. You are silly. But thanks to that, you could meet Tom, right? It turned out well, didn't it? Daisy admitted it casually. I was furious, but seeing the small baby in Daisy's arms, I couldn't bring myself to scold her and bit my lip instead. Besides, in the end, you preferred a lawyer over a doctor, right? That's why you divorced Mike so easily. Those words were unbearable. Neither Mike nor Tom was chosen based on their professions. Meeting Tom indeed brought me happiness, but that was a different story entirely. After divorcing Mike, I was truly devastated and couldn't eat anything due to shock. I blamed myself a lot, wondering what went wrong. Yet, to think it was all because Daisy was dating him makes their mockery of me unbearable. As I fought back tears, Daisy laughed triumphantly. Tom, this girl loves chasing after rich men. You're young, you should find someone else. That's not true. I looked at Tom desperately. Then, Tom murmured with a troubled face. I see. I think I understand the situation now. His words shocked me, thinking he was disgusted with me. Daisy, on the other hand, smiled even wider. It was like the day Daisy sided with Mike against me. But Tom clearly stated, So, Daisy, you've been involved with Mary's former husband since they were still married, right? Yes, that's right. You're foolish for not noticing. Irritated by Daisy's laughter, I retorted. Alimony. I'll demand alimony. Don't be silly. The statute of limitations for alimony claims is 3 years. It's already expired. That was the reason Daisy had contacted me. It had been 3 years. They thought what they did to me had been erased as if it never happened. Tom laughed. You seem well informed, Daisy. Of course, that's basic. Mary is the fool here for not knowing. However, Mary does have a right to claim. Even if the divorce is finalized, alimony for infidelity can be claimed within 3 years from the day she learned of the fact. Today is the day Mary found out. So, the 3-year period starts now. Daisy turned pale at Tom's words. No, that can't be, really? We can't claim for the divorce, but we will certainly claim alimony for the infidelity from both of you. Please reflect on how you've hurt my wife. Mary, let's go home. Wait, it's a misunderstanding. Next to a flustered Daisy, Tom gave me a reassuring smile. Relieved and happy that Tom had remained on my side until the end, I wiped away my tears. The gentle and caring Tom started the process of claiming alimony, desperately trying to heal my wounds. Simultaneously, my phone wouldn't stop ringing. Calls from Daisy and an unknown number. When I answered once, hearing Mike's voice made me hang up immediately. Thanks to that, I also got Mike's number, making the paperwork smooth. On another day, we visited their home again. These are the documents related to the alimony claim. We've brought them for your review. Since it was a Sunday, Mike was also at home. As soon as we arrived, both of them bowed their heads. Mary, I'm truly sorry. Please, I beg you to drop the lawsuit. Daisy suddenly became meek, apologizing profusely. I looked at her coldly. I kept quiet for your sake. I thought it'd hurt you. We thought we'd take this secret to the grave. Yes, that's right. We only told you because you seemed happy. Seeing Mike after a long time, he spoke as if they had done nothing wrong. They kept insisting they hid the truth for my sake, which wasn't amusing at all. You do realize you were wrong, don't you? Of course. Then, pay the alimony. But their mouths were shut at those words. The conversation was going nowhere. An apology without substance means nothing. Tom began to calmly explain about the alimony. Anyway, we will be claiming $3 million from Mike to Mary, and $3 million from Daisy to Mary, totaling $6 million. $6 million. There's no way we can pay that much. The amount Tom mentioned made them go pale and red in a frenzy. But without changing his expression, Tom calmly explained why they had arrived at that amount. While they complained that it's too much, and we have a child. A normal person wouldn't demand such an amount from a couple who needs to raise a child. Tom raised his voice for the first time to silence their nonsense. That's how serious your actions were. All this talk about taking it to the grave is ridiculous. You just gave in to your desires. Stop making excuses. With that, the two of them were effectively silenced. Next to them, I felt deeply grateful for Tom. Understood. Mike muttered softly. Wait, Mike. Are you out of your mind? Where are we supposed to get that kind of money? I'll figure out my part. You can borrow from your parents or something. What? There's no way I can do that. They began to argue in front of us. Certainly, Mike has income as a doctor, while Daisy does not. We'll be leaving then. Please contact us once you're ready. Prompted by Tom, we too left the house. After closing the door, we heard Mike's angry shout, "Why did you tell Mary?" No sign of remorse. Hearing such voices, Tom and I laughed as we left. Walking to a nearby coin parking, it was then. Wait a moment. We stopped at Mike's voice. Get in the car first. Nodding to his words, I got into the car. The window was slightly open, allowing their conversation to be heard. Not wanting to listen, I was about to close it, but without starting the engine, I just sat there quietly. Doctor. You know my situation, right? Please do something. Mike's words made me look up. That's a separate issue. Mike calling Tommy doctor sounded like they knew each other. I found it strange, but felt like it was a conversation I shouldn't be listening to. Yet, what was heard couldn't be helped. The conversation reached my ears unavoidably. So, how much is left now? Tell me. We shouldn't discuss this here. What if someone hears us? Just tell me. My life is on the line here. Mike urged Tom in a panicked tone. Tom spoke softly. Hearing this, Mike opened his mouth as if to confirm. So, $2 million to Aiko's husband and the remaining $1.1 million in installments to Manami's husband. On top of that, $3 million to Mary? There's no way I can pay that. I was taken aback by Mike's words. Also, the fact that you were Mary's ex-husband. If things continue this way, it's only a matter of time before Daisy finds out and claims alimony. Please, don't let Daisy know. Of course, I have a duty of confidentiality and wouldn't go around spreading the word. But can you keep it hidden forever? Listening to Tom, Mike held his head. Seeing this, I couldn't help but burst into laughter. Their conversation suggested that Mike had repeatedly committed infidelity. The spouses of his partners found out, and he is currently in the middle of paying them alimony. Are you working just to pay alimony? It's time to grow up. I know that. Well, take care not to let Daisy find out. If you don't cherish her, you might end up losing your family and your money. With that, Tom headed back to the car. Mike's plea, "Doctor, wait," went unheeded as Tom didn't stop. When our eyes met, Mike froze, probably thinking he couldn't show me such a pitiful sight. The alimony for Mary cannot be reduced by a single yen. Thank you for your understanding. Finally, Mike slumped against a concrete wall, seemingly at a loss. I hope he uses the brains he wasted on avoiding the discovery of infidelity to alleviate the victim's suffering. Sorry to keep you waiting. Tom got back into the car with a smile. I greeted him with a smile in return. Thanks to him, I was able to get the alimony from Mike and Daisy. Daisy had asked Mike to front her share of the alimony, but he had no such capacity. Ultimately, she had to turn to her parents. Her parents, of course, knew Mike was my ex-husband but likely never imagined he was the cause of our divorce. Indeed, Daisy had told me they'd reconnected a year and a half ago. Essentially, she lied to her parents, who were furious upon learning the truth. They even came to apologize to our home. Daisy's mom said it was her fault for spoiling her too much. Her dad said he wouldn't let her step foot in our house again. Even with proper parents, a child might not grow up right. I mused on this as if it were someone else's problem. After settling down, Tom and I went on a trip to a southern island. The hotel with a view of the sea healed the hardships and wounds of my heart. I might be too old to have children now, missing my chance, but I feel truly fortunate to have met Tom. If I hadn't met you, I'd probably still be alone, at the bottom of my sorrow. I'm so happy to have met you. Thank you for being with me. I wanted to be with someone who could see me for who I am, not what I do. Thank you for meeting me. Let's keep looking forward to more together. Tom said to me. Moving forward, I hope to never forget our current happiness and to see many more beautiful scenes with him.